What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Toma Todito Boxing Show. It has been quite a long time since I sat here behind the mic and had a chance to talk to you guys. You guys that are following the channel, those of you that have been following me from the beginning, you guys know that I've been busy attending events and doing live interviews and on the scene raw footage, raw interviews, unscripted stuff like I promised you guys. And it's all thanks to you guys. All thanks to you guys opening the doors. I tell you guys time and again. And the last event that I was at was the Team Combat League, which is more of a semi-pro type competitive nature, but a lot of pros that end up utilizing that format to stay busy in between fights. From there, there's other interviews that I've conducted that I have not released yet. And then you last heard me when I was at the Bam Rodriguez fight against Cafu, live from Frisco, Texas. Several episodes that went up there. We are 24 hours away from, maybe just slightly over, but definitely a day away from Canelo Crawford taking place. And it's exciting. It's such a massive card. There's a lot to talk about. We're going to try to focus on just the fight card and the fights themselves, because there's a lot of politics and a lot of stuff surrounding the arrival of Zuffa boxing as it relates itself to the boxing format and the landscape, with the promoters, with the sanctioning bodies, and so forth. So we'll try to stick to just the boxing card. It's a big boxing card that's going to be taking place. And so we're going to try to narrow down some of the key fights that, at least I'll mention the key fights that I'm looking at. And I got a special guest with me, Cholo Travieso, joining me once again. We've had some fun episodes in the past, and lengthy ones at that, where we've gone multiple hours behind the mic, just breaking down those specific events. You could check those episodes in the catalog. But other than that, welcome once again. Thank you again for joining me, and this is going to be a good one.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. It's an honor being here with you guys. And I'm excited about this card. I'm excited about this fight. I think it's one for the ages. This is most likely it's going to be a classic. There might be some controversy involved, but for all in all, for what it's worth, pound for pound, these are two of the best boxers that's going on. Two of the best boxers at hand right now. Even though they come from different weight classes, they managed to make this fight. And it's be interesting how this fight is going to turn out, because one fight is moving up and the other one has established his mark at the weight class that they're fighting in. So it'll be interesting.
It'll definitely be interesting. Thank you again for joining me today. There's, out of the card, I'm looking at 6, 8, 10 fights altogether on the Canelo card. 9 fights on the undercard, some meaningful fights, and a lot of these fighters are from 360 Promotions, from Tom Loeffler's card. So let's pick one of the fights that's grabbing my attention a little bit, and that being Steven Nelson versus Raiko Santana. Those of you that follow the channel, you know that I got to interview Raiko Santana at the Team Combat League just about a week ago, and he stayed active. He was one of the most successful boxers in that format in Dewey Cooper's Team Combat League, and he's got a good record himself. He sits at, let me see where he's at. He's at 12-4 with 6 knockouts. As a pro, Cuban style fighter, Cuban style pedigree, a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more active than the past Cuban fighter that we saw in a big stage, which was William Skull in May against Canelo, which put everybody to sleep and everybody was frustrated because he was just running. I actually asked Raiko Santana this on the interview, if he's gonna repeat what William Skull did in the ring with Canelo for his big coming out party tomorrow night, and he said nope, nothing to do. I'm gonna be aggressive. I'm gonna take the fight to Steven Nelson, and that's what we're expecting, an exciting fight. Steven Nelson, we last saw him against Diego Pacheco earlier this year, and Steven Nelson is part of the Bomac camp and a training and sparring partner of Terence Crawford. So what do you think about this fight? Did you get a chance to look into this one?
I did. They're both matched pretty good. I like Nelson, but at the level that they're at, who knows? Everything changes. I was doing my research last night, and one of the interviewers, there was an interview done with a specific boxer. Everything changes under the big lights. You know, these guys are not fighting in a small venue, small arena. They're fighting in one of the biggest cards of the year. There's going to be millions and millions of watchers. Are they going to be able to handle the pressure? Are they going to be able to deal with the big spotlight? Are they going to be able to execute their game plan? So they they might come out swinging for the ropes, or they might perform good, or they might just fold under the big lights.
I think it's something that it's important that you're mentioning that. I think it's something that's going to come into play for everybody. I think it's going to affect everybody in the card, with the exception of Canelo. Nobody else has been in the big spotlight or been under a spotlight of this magnitude, let alone that it's going to be on Netflix, streamed on Netflix. So a lot more the viewership is going to be so much more, so many more eyes, and even a Serhii Boachuk that's going to be on there, or the other half of the main event. Terence Crawford has never experienced this level, this magnitude type of a fight. So I think the lights and the attention, the stage overall is going to affect everybody. And I think it's a good point. Steven Nelson, definitely the veteran of the two, 37 years old. Raiko Santana, 32. Steven Nelson, 20-1 with 16 knockouts. Raiko has 6 knockouts. So methodical, strategic, tactical, all that favors Steven Nelson. The boxing ability favors Steven Nelson. He's slower, but he's very smart at delivering his punches. Raiko Santana, a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more elusive. If he starts exchanging with Steven Nelson, I think I'm siding with you. Steven Nelson is probably the favorite in this fight.
And I agree with you. I think Steven Nelson has the knockout ability to take out Santana. Santana also, like I said, I've always said that youth is a big, it's part of the game plan. A lot of the fighters that come in, they're young, they're out there swinging for the fences. They try to prove themselves. It all depends on the trainer too. But in this specific fight, I like Nelson too. He has the power to knock out Santana. Santana's kind of young, so we'll see how that one plays out.
Less experience for Raiko Santana as well. So in the interview that I had with him, he said he had about 150 fights prior to his pro as amateur, where he got to travel abroad and so forth. He feels like he has the amateur experience that he has is what's going to help him with Steven Nelson, who doesn't have as decorated of an amateur career as Santana does, but he's definitely more seasoned in the pro ranks than Santana is. So it's an interesting mix between these two guys. Again, 168 pounders. So these guys looking to establish themselves within the rankings now that Canelo's on the back end of his career. With a Crawford win, which I know we're going to get into the Canelo and Crawford fight, but with the Crawford win, that shakes up everything, because the titles would now be with the new champion or potentially relinquished. And then Crawford would become the champion for the Sufa Boxing, for their new format that they're going to launch. Meaning all this would open up for these guys who are looking to contend and establish themselves within the top ranks, with the names of the likes of Caleb Plant, Elijah Garcia, who's going to be joining there now, Diego Pacheco, Munguia, Berlanga. Like, you got these guys that are going to be establishing themselves to get into those bigger fights as well.
I agree with you. I think Canelo, I don't want to say that he's held these belts hostage, but he has. He doesn't want to fight the fighters. He's holding these belts, and if Canelo loses, he loses some of these belts, and some of the more hungry guys, they're going a little over, dude. They're waiting around for something to happen, something to break. And I think if Canelo loses, I think the 168 pound division is gonna get pretty exciting.
Yeah, I know we're gonna touch on this a little bit later, but then again, we're looking at the only fighters in that mix of names that we mentioned that have not had a shot with Canelo would be Diego Pacheco out of that whole group. Jaime Munguia suffered a knockout loss to Suras, but he got a shot at Canelo. Berlanga got a shot at Canelo. Caleb Plant got a shot. The only one, the big exception, was David Benavidez, right? And that's the one that seems like it got away for the fans and for David.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I did hear an interview where David Benavidez did mention that he was willing to come down to a 168 to fight Crawford.
He's still entertaining it. Wow.
They're entertaining it, yeah, and that would be very exciting for Benavidez to come down. That would be very, very interesting for Benavidez to. I think he would stir up the division.
And the interesting thing about this, without getting too much into the changes that are happening, but the interesting thing about this fight, before we move on to the next one, which is another one that we're going to talk about in this same division. The interesting thing is that right now there's multiple sanctioning bodies. There's 4 titles plus the ring, 5 overall to become undisputed champion. This is the debut of Sufa Boxing, Dana White's format that Turkey's backing. If and when, because all the signs are there that this is going to pass, and the new Muhammad Ali, the revision or the revised version of the Muhammad Ali Act, is going to back this format into position. If and when this passes, Dana White is going to look to replicate the UFC format in boxing, which means only 1 title, no more 5 titles. These guys would be positioning themselves, but that is if they jump over to Sufa Boxing and join the organization, because otherwise, if they stay out of the UBO and the organization, then they could still compete for the green and the WBO and the WBC and so forth. So that's where we're at right here. This is the dynamic. The other fight, I know you want to get a word in. This is going to complement that. Christian Mbili, Lester Martinez. Christian Mbili has an interim title to Canelo's WBC. He's a Canadian fighter making his fights out of Montreal. And Lester Martinez, a Guatemalan fighter who has a lot of promise and a lot of upside in his career, has also trained with the likes of Bomac and Terence Crawford, and is a heavy puncher himself. That's going to be a car crash waiting to happen between that fight and 2 more fighters looking to establish themselves as super middleweight.
Before going any further, I don't know if anybody's aware. I don't know if the audience is aware of the Muhammad Ali provision. Can you explain to the viewers what we're talking about here?
Yeah, so it's that could be a whole nother episode. It should be a whole nother episode just dedicated to it.
Make it short and sweet for the viewer, so we know what we're talking about.
So here's,
go on any further.
I'll give you the basics. So before there was any major government oversight, which today is very limited, but before there was any type of organized or uniform oversight for the sport of boxing, in 1996, they ended up creating the PBSA. And that was basically focused on the safety of the fighters, having minimums amount of safety present and medical personnel present at the fights. And so it focused solely, or the sole focus of it, and the primary focus was to look out for the safety of the fighters. 1996.
Yes.
4 years later, in 2000, the Muhammad Ali Act comes, and that ended up focusing to protect the fighters from exploitation. That was the main aspect. No longer being under the pressure of having their same promoter be their manager and have influence on the rankings. Meaning, Don King back in the day, and there's others. There was another promoter. What was his name? Butch Lewis, and predecessors to Don King. Well, Don King became notorious for signing fighters in lifetime style contracts and exploiting the fighters. There was no disclosures to the fighters as to the revenue being made on these fights, and he did it to Tyson. He did it to Julio Cesar Chavez. He did it to Michael Carbajal, Finito Lopez. So fighters, although they had opportunities, they never knew exactly what profits, what revenue was being made. And Don King would pressure the fighters. So he would tell them, well, if you want to fight my champ, you have to sign with me. And then he would sign them to these ridiculous contracts. And then somehow he got richer, but the boxers weren't getting rich. So the Muhammad Ali Act protected the fighters, allowed the fighters to negotiate, allowed the fighters to basically request audits and ask the promoters to show them ticket sales, revenue, and be more open. So this allowed the fighters, gave power to the fighters in negotiation power. And so now it voided the lifetime contracts, and fighters could actually go shop around to whichever promoter was going to be best for them. Also, where it came into effect. Since 2000, there hasn't been any other implementations to this act. So the Muhammad Ali Act took the PBSA Act from 96, it built on it. Now it was safety plus giving power to the fighters in as far as negotiating power. So in 2016, we saw a lawsuit between Golden Boy and Top Rank against Al Heyman and the PBC, because the PBC was trying to do the same thing, create their own title, their own champions. They had the biggest stable because Richard Schaefer had removed most of those fighters from Golden Boy.
From Golden Boy.
So then they blocked it because that voided the Muhammad Ali Act with Al Heyman being the promoter, the manager, and had influence with the sanctioning bodies, because at that point, if he creates his own title, well, he has control of his own rankings. So now with this revision coming into place, it is in Congress, to my knowledge, and with Congress being in recess the majority of August, now they're back in session. This is one of the things that they're potentially going to vote on. And boxing is not one of those big worrying factors for Congress right now, with so much going on, that this is probably just going to get signed and passed. What's in this revision act, which has nothing to do, in my opinion, with the Muhammad Ali Act, this should be its own act. It basically caters a checklist to create UBOs. Unified boxing organizations, or universal boxing organizations, which means, in other words, what the UFC format is, just to make it easy, to dumb it down. And the checklist for you to become a UBO is basically everything that the UFC is already doing. How many ambulances you have to have present, the medical personnel, the minimum requirements for medical liability for each fighter. You have to provide a training facility for the fighters. If you think about it, UFC already has that with the UFC gym complex that they have in Vegas. They have all the infrastructure set, and it almost looks like this plan was written literally for them to be able to check those boxes. For De La Hoya and, for example, Eddie Hearn, he doesn't care about this because this is an American act that's going to affect American boxing. It doesn't affect Europe. This is going to be done in the U.S. So for Eddie Hearn, he doesn't care because they have a whole different monopoly type setup in England between him and Frank Warren. For De La Hoya, he's still functioning on the old format of the traditional promoter format of having to get ticket sales. How many butts can you put in the seats? How big of an arena do we have? How much are we paying fighters? So there's good things about the format of this revision of the Muhammad Ali Act, but it's also going to create a monopolization of boxing with the UBOs, meaning it allows De La Hoya to become a UBO. It allows Bob Arum to become a UBO. Al Heyman, they could become a UBO, but they have to check off every single one of those requirements, where Dana White already has those requirements met with the UFC. All they're going to do is just replicate it into boxing. Now, if the worry of the Muhammad Ali Act was to not have promoters and the promoter be the promoter and manager, and at that point have influence on the sanctioning bodies as far as meddling with the rankings and so forth, then now my fighter gets it. Well, what does the UFC do? They got one title. They're the manager. They're the promoter. They control the rankings. They control the title. And who fights for the title? That's exactly what the Muhammad Ali Act was getting away from. And now this shouldn't be called the Muhammad Ali Revision Act. It's the American Boxing Revival Act, I think. It should be something completely different. That's the negatives. The positives is that it's going to give a whole new life to boxing. It's going to change boxing, but it's going to give it a whole new look and a whole new approach, because the boxing promoters, in essence, they messed it up. They had so much time, and the greed has always messed it up. Eddie Hearn, I know I went on a rant already. Eddie Hearn came from a few years ago after HBO and Showtime, and Eddie Hearn got his investors with DAZN, showed up to New York, and they were going to dominate the American market. If you remember that, it didn't pan out like they wanted to, right? But he wanted to dominate, bring all the boxers to a Matchroom, and everybody fight for me. And he was going to be the dominant promoter. De La Hoya's tried to do it. We just talked about Premier Boxing Champions trying to do it with Al Heyman and creating their own title. They've all wanted to monopolize what they're criticizing that Dana White's going to be able to do, except Dana White never joined boxing in the past few years because he was waiting for this opportunity, and the Muhammad Ali Act would block him from doing that format. There's no oversight in MMA. The oversight's only in boxing.
In other words, fans, what Head Kelly's talking about is pretty much monopolizing boxing. Remember back in the days when fighters couldn't fight because some of them signed to HBO and other boxers were signed to Showtime. So we missed out on a lot of great fights. And what it pretty much comes down to is Eddie Hearn, well, not Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn, he did the zone.
Well, he had investors. Yeah, he was.
Yes. And the great thing about that, we did see great fights. We saw fights that wouldn't have happened if HBO and Showtime were involved the way they were back in the day. But
you remember that with the streaming networks, HBO fighters were not fighting Showtime fighters.
No, that's what I'm
Eddie Hearn, by bringing streaming, attracted more fighters. By the promise was fighters are going to get higher pay because the streaming is going to be cheaper. So it's going to be a cheaper service. It's going to be more accessible, more eyeballs, meaning more seats and more butts and seats, more ticket sales. And that would translate to higher boxing pay. It didn't pan out here in the US, but the zone is still big, and most of boxing is there now with the exception of ESPN Plus, and Bob Arum just lost ESPN Plus. Dana White's taking UFC to Paramount Plus now. So the landscape changed, but the traditional promoter role got greedy because everybody wanted to be at the top, and so we still wouldn't see the best fighters fighting the best.
So it's a win for boxing fans. It's a loss for the promoters. I think it's a big win for the boxers. I think they're going to get more.
Well, I think it's a big win for up-and-coming boxers because at least they get medical protection to a certain extent, and they get training facilities.
But if you remember,
but to the made fighters, they're not going to get the pay that they're making on a free market right now because they already released the pay, and the highest pay for headliners is going to be $750,000, which is a huge amount of money, but it's not the 20-30 million that these top-notch fighters are making.
But if you think about it, remember when Golden Boy started out? They started out saying that, spilling the same rhetoric. You're going to have your lawyers, you're going to have medical, you're going to have better pay. And we all know how that turned out. It didn't turn out the way
it turned out okay.
Lost a lot of fighters because De La Hoya wasn't running the company the way.
Right.
And it goes back to Schaefer taking boxers. And so who knows where this is going to go. The old fighters, you know what? They're going to be as well. But the new up and coming fighters, they're going to be able to benefit from this because they're going to be able to have better fights, better pay. We'll see.
The traditional fans are obviously up in arms, right? They're against this because, especially like I just mentioned several times, it's not the Muhammad Ali Act. It shouldn't be a revision to a Muhammad Ali Act because although it adds certain protections, it goes right back to monopolizing boxing. What happens? We try to get away from these extensive contracts where fighters didn't have the freedom to go become free agents and shop around for promoters. What have we seen with the UFC in past years? We've seen that fighters get tied into contracts when they want to go compete over to and cross over to a boxing match or to BKFC or so forth. They can't compete because Dana White still has them, or let's just say UFC still has them under a contract, and they'll sign these 5, 6, 7 year or 7 fight contracts, and that avoids the years. The Muhammad Ali Act would prevent, and certain state sanctioning bodies will, or commissions, I should say, limit your contracts to that of 3 years, 5 years. Some states do 5 years. I think New York's at 3 years. California's at 5 years. Nevada's at 4 years, I think. But the loophole was that you no longer function in years. You function in the amount of fights that you sign for. So when you do 7 fight contract, those 7 fights could take 10 years to accomplish. So John Jones for the UFC just retired because he didn't want to fight Tom Aspinall, and he still has fights left on his contract. He didn't want to finish the contract. He's older. He's like, screw it. He just walked away.
Yeah, I was listening to Mikey Garcia's interview not too long ago. He had the same problem
With Bob Arum.
With Bob Arum.
Yeah.
He was supposed to defend his title. He didn't get a title match in 2 years.
Yeah.
In 2 years, or was it was a year. So that's when they went to court, and he had to wait out for 2 years.
Yeah.
Finally, the judge ruled in his favor. But
De La Hoya had a similar lawsuit with Bob Arum as well.
Yeah.
Same thing with Top Rank. So there's pluses to it because the new generation of boxers are coming, and we know how successful UFC is. What we don't see is, and we're hearing a lot more about it, is these fighters that continue to come out and give interviews saying that they're broke because they make a few $1,000s. They make $10,000, but 8,000 of it has already gone in their gym, in their manager pay, in their daily expenses. They got rent, they got this. And if they only get 2 fights a year, they're only making 20,000. And so now they make the bonuses, knockout of the night, fight of the night, but there's 20 fights on the card. Your chances are really low that you're going to be that successful.
But on the same note,
and they recycle you.
Yeah, just pay attention to UFC. The way UFC is being ran right now is just going to mimic what UFC is. And the
Correct. There'll be a mirror version of it.
The mirror version. And the only downside to this is a lot of these UFC fighters are not making the purses at the top level professional.
They never have.
They never have. So that's going to be a big negative. But on the plus side, the up and coming fighters, they're going to be able to make better purses starting now, and who knows?
So there's no denying, right? Dana White's been a mastermind and amazing. What he did with MMA and how he built the UFC is nothing short of amazing. It's impressive. It's inspiring what he was able to do with the business. But just think about this. If I give you 5 names and I mention Conor McGregor, John Jones, Dustin Poirier, Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal, right? Just to keep it short, for 5 or 6 of those fighters I just gave you, there's 500 or 600 fighters that got recycled through that never made it, and that nobody knows who they are, and that walked away not making money. It's not a career, it's an opportunity, like Dana White says, but a lot of these fighters never get to break out because they don't get the chance. So if they only fight once or twice a year and they're putting their bodies on the line, there's no recourse, no protection on their behalf. So that's what's going on right now, that this is exactly the format that's going to come into boxing. The positive is uniformity, which doesn't exist in boxing right now. Boxing had an opportunity with all these promoters. And when Turkey first came into the scene, we started seeing
better fights.
All these great fights that we saw in the last couple years has been nothing short of amazing because he's just throwing crazy money at it. What it was the bait and switch, right? I'm going to get you guys interested on me. And now you have no choice but to be interested in this format that I'm presenting you because everybody else is getting washed out. The interesting thing is that there's still a lot of stuff to be ironed out. What happens with the WBC and the WBO and the major sanctioning bodies? And what happens to the fighters that don't join the UBO, that don't join SUFA boxing? Because remember, once they're there, they're not free to go fight for De La Hoya. No. So if Virgil Ortiz stays with De La Hoya, we're never going to see Virgil Ortiz against Crawford or whoever else, right? We'll never see those fights for whoever joins TKO.
We're just going to have to see it come.
It's just got to play out, yeah?
We're going to have to see what kind of money's being thrown out there to these boxes, and it might be a good thing, it might be a bad thing, might be.
So people are divided, right? Traditional boxers are divided because they don't like the fact that this is revising boxing and potentially in a negative way, although it will cater to the younger up and coming fighters. Now, there's a reason why Dana White and the UFC multiple times blocked and petitioned and lobbied to not have oversight over MMA because they couldn't do their format with oversight. But now that's why boxing promoters are against it, because they're like, well, they couldn't do it to you guys, but now you're coming over to the boxing side and do whatever it is that you want. And with legislation on their side, well, guess what? They got, I think it's Representative Jack from Georgia. He's the one that presented the bill. And so the lobbyists have done their part to be able to allow them to bring their format over to boxing, and it's going to be in legitimate fashion. That's why Dana White held off on doing this so long, because he didn't want to be just another promoter. He wants to be the promoter. And we know it with Bellator, with Strikeforce in the past, with ONE FC. They have really good fighters, really good champions, but because UFC is the top dog, they never get recognized. They're like, yeah, you're really good, but you're not UFC good. So now that's going to be Super Boxing. You're going to be really good for De La Hoya's fighters and his stable, but you're not Super Boxing good.
It's funny that you say that, because I was a big fan of Bellator. Bellator has some amazing fighters and
Yeah.
had amazing fights. At the time, I think, at the time when the UFC was at a standstill, Bellator was putting out some excellent fights.
Remember Strikeforce, right?
Strikeforce was the same way. They were putting out some excellent
I told you we could do a whole episode on this, and I already went on a rant about this.
Yeah, let's move on to the card.
So anyways, but you wanted to know this
Yeah.
because this is in essence, I know there's a lot of stuff that I left out, but in essence, this is the basics of the changes in boxing that has happened, the good and the bad. And I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just saying this is a big change that's going to affect the sport of boxing, and potentially it's going to be good because it brings uniformity to the sport of boxing. But for the fighter's sake, as far as protection, that's where the negatives come in.
Yeah, it's funny because me and Mr.
For the fans, it's going to be great.
Mr. Cali, we had this conversation a couple of days ago, and we got in pretty deep into it, and it was so interesting on my part. And before we went on any further, I wanted to just touch up on it, even though we did go on a 2-hour conversation about this. But it was very interesting how, boxing's changing, and it's either for the better or for the worse, but it is changing. And we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see in the future. We might get together and I'll talk about this a little further. But
Yeah. Dive into it deeper.
This, as long as the fans are aware of what's going on, I think we can move on and.
It's definitely something interesting to dive into. It's a rabbit hole that you could go in deep. Let's circle back. So the fight that I had just mentioned to you that's going to be in the same division as Nelson and Raiko Santana would be Christian Mbili and Lester Martinez, both undefeated fighters, 19-0 against Christian Mbili, who's 29-0. Knockouts are insane. Lester Martinez has 16 knockouts out of his 19 victories. Christian Mbili has 24 knockouts out of his 29 victories. Mbili, the Cameroonian by way of France, based out of Canada. We've seen him with decent opposition, definitely better than what Lester Martinez has faced. And you could mention some of the names that come to mind. Ronnie Ellis, that Mbili has victories over. DeAndre Ware, Vaughn Alexander, Carlos Gongora is also a fighter that Lester Martinez defeated. And then most recently, we saw Sergey Deverchenko, which was a crazy fight for Mbili because Deverchenko ends up injuring his arm in that fight, fights him, towards his bicep, and fights him with one arm, and was actually getting the best of Mbili in that fight, which Mbili didn't look too great in there. And then he comes back and knocks out Maciej Sulecki in one round, the same Sulecki that went a few more rounds with Diego Pacheco just a few months earlier, which was last year's fight. Last summer. Lester Martinez, his names of note are Carlos Gongora that we just mentioned. Joshawn James was his recent victory in March of this year. And from there, he has another fighter that we just mentioned, Raiko Santana. He has a victory over Raiko Santana, a 10-round decision victory. And that was a really tough, long, drawn-out fight for both of these fighters, where Raiko Santana was a lot earlier in his career. He was, I believe, 8-2 at that time that he jumped into that fight. Big experience for him because Lester Martinez is just in your face, punches and bunches, aggressive, and Mbili is throwing hammers. And we know that he's got the power and he has the knockout ratio to prove it and to back it up. And he's got decent names in his resume. This is going to be one to watch, probably more so exciting than the Steven Nelson, Raiko Santana one.
I really like this fight. I truly love this fight. The styles is they're both in your face. McBilly's a flat foot, hands up. He throws a lot of power punches. He likes to throw a lot of solid punches. He's also a big guy. He carries a lot of muscle on him. He's only 5'9".
A lot of muscle, yeah. Ripped.
He's ripped. He goes for the body a lot. I like that about him. I'm a big fan of body punches, just like Chavez. I'm a big fan of body punches because we're able to set up some major punches at the end, and he's always after you. He doesn't stay still. He's just constantly approaches you. He's constantly attacking you. And Lester Martinez, he has great footwork. I love his footwork. He has great accurate punching, better than McBilly. And he's a good sound boxer. He throws jabs, goes for the body. He throws combinations. He's a more well-rounded boxer than McBilly. McBilly just goes in there and tries to hammer you out. And they're both in your face. Like I said, they both go full of killing.
I think we're looking at Lester Martinez bringing, that was key that you said that. Lester Martinez, better combinations, better mix-up as far as his punches. And Mbili, power punches and probably a little bit more efficient than Lester Martinez. He lands pretty much everything he's throwing, but not with the high rate that Lester Martinez does. This, to me, it's a 50-50 fight. I don't know which one to pick here. Even though I slightly favor Mbili, I'm really interested to see what Lester Martinez does at this level. Definitely his biggest step up.
Well, let's see how it goes, because the longer it goes, Martinez has a better chance of winning. Because, like I said, McBilly likes to throw some power punches. He likes to just go
and spends a lot of energy.
So
Lester Martinez, definitely the more durable of the two fighters.
So we'll see. I love this fight. I really, truly love this fight.
How are you picking it?
If it goes, I think McBilly can knock him out. But if he doesn't, I think Martinez wins. Because, like we just mentioned, I think he wears himself out by the 6th or 7th round. Because this guy, McBilly, does throw power punches. He pretty much everything he throws is full of.
The interesting thing to focus on this is pretty much all these undercards leading up to Canelo's fight, they're all 10-rounders.
They're all 10 rounds?
They're not 12-rounders. Why? And there's the interim WBC title to Canelo's WBC title is this fight. This is the interim, and it's a 10-rounder instead of a 12-rounder, even though there's a title on the line.
The title, so a lot of fans don't understand, most of the title fights are 12 rounds.
Right.
Not 10-rounders. A lot of the non-championship bouts usually go 10 rounds.
So that's the interesting thing, which now that you look at a 10-round fight versus a 12-round fight, now the scales tip a little bit back to Mbili.
That really confuses me. Why is it a 10-rounder, but they're going for the belt? Maybe because the main card is such a big card.
It's such a long. There's so many fights on it.
So many fights, and
usually you see about 6 to 8 fights. This one has 10.
10 fights.
Yeah. So there's a lot of fights on there. Mbili and Lester Martinez, that has to be my 50-50 fight of the night. Hands down, just looking at this.
Strategically, like I just said, McBilly, you could take him out in the first 5 rounds. Anything after 6 rounds, Martinez, I think Martinez's stock goes up and win in the fight because he's going to have the lungs. He's going to be able to take him to the deeper rounds, and who knows?
I don't think inactivity will play a role here. Martinez was active in March, and Mbili was active in June. So it pays off for Mbili in that sense. Maybe a little bit because he has a quicker turnaround, so he stays active a lot closer between camps or between fights. But Lester's younger, so he's more resilient, and I think ring rust is not even going to play a role here. I see it more playing with Steven Nelson because he hasn't fought since the beginning of the year. I think it was January when he fought Pacheco, and Raiko Santana has stayed active competing in the Team Combat League. He goes from pros to the semi-pro, but he's active and active and active. So I think that's a breakout one for me. Raiko Santana beating Steven Nelson, even though I'm leaning towards the boxing ability of Steven Nelson. But I think Raiko Santana, that would be the upset of the night if Raiko's able to pull it off on Nelson. This is a 50-50 fight. And Mbili, Lester Martinez, I don't know how to pick it. This is just a fun one to grab a beer and just sit down and enjoy whatever it is that they throw at.
This is an amazing. I really like this fight. I really, truly love this fight.
We look at the next one. Sergey Boachuk, Brandon Adams. There's a lot being made about this fight just because it's a rematch between them. I don't see it as big of a matchup as everybody else. Boachuk was stopped by Brandon Adams back in 2021, if I'm correct. And you correct me on that if you have that fight up.
No, I don't.
So Sergey Boachuk. Yes. So Brandon Adams, Sergey Boachuk, they fought in March of 21, and Brandon Adams stopped them in the 8th round. It was a TKO stoppage. So at that time for Brandon Adams, that was 2 fights removed from when he lost to Jermall Charlo. So Brandon Adams comes off of a loss. That was the second victory in a row that he was able to put together by stopping Sergey Boachuk. But overall, Brandon Adams has a 25-4 record. He was stopped once in his career, and that was against Apollo Thompson, a lesser-known fighter. That was maybe a fluke. Other than that, he's had really good opposition, but we're looking at layoffs, right? November was his last fight of last year, where he fought Katsurakis, and he lost a split decision on that.
He also fought.
So he's coming off of a loss against a lesser-known fighter. Sergey Boachuk is coming off those wars with Virgil Ortiz. I mean, who else? He just beat Alante's Fox, I think it was, in one of the 360 shows that I was actually there. Yep, no, he beat Michael Fox. And that was in LA, and I was there present that night, and that was a rough looking Sergey Boachuk. He looked drained. It looked like the weight cut got to him. Maybe he was sick. I'm not sure, but that was not Sergey Boachuk's best performance. Before that, he ended up beating Ishmael Davies on one of the Riyadh cards, and he looked sensational against the British fighter. And that was the fight following the summer showdown that he had with Virgil Ortiz last summer. So Brian Mendoza, he beat Brian Mendoza, and Brian Mendoza is the guy known for knocking out Fundora and taking the title from Fundora, and Sergey Boachuk handled him. So this is not a 50 for, or this, it's not a hard one. I'm saying Sergey Boachuk, he didn't look great with Michael Fox earlier this year, but I think it was a fluke. I think he was either sick or the weight cut got him. But you see, how hard he's been working with Manny Robles. It looks almost like he stayed in shape between the Michael Fox fight going into this one. And I don't think weight cut's going to be a big issue for him. We'll find out later today when the weigh-ins happen. But this is an easy one for me. They're at different stages in their career. Brandon Adams was at the upside when he beat Boachuk. He has since declined, and Boachuk continues on the uphill.
I like Boachuk when you know what? The fight that really amazes me is how he got that war with Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz was supposed to be the chosen one at the weight class right now. I thought it was an amazing fight.
Yeah.
He dropped Virgil Ortiz twice, even though they only gave him to him on the second knockdown. The first one they didn't give it to him. They called it a slip. But I thought it was a clear knockdown.
He was down. Ortiz went down in round 1 and round 8 in that fight.
And the round 1, they didn't give it to Boachuk.
And remember, that fight was supposed to be, in December, what was yes in December it was supposed to be Israel Madrimov and Boachuk.
And then that fight didn't come.
And that fight didn't happen, and then Vergil Ortiz ended up fighting Madrimov, right?
I think he took that like pretty lightly, and I saw Ortiz getting
Madrimov. I think Madrimov pulled out. Something happened there. I think. Well, no, I'm lying. It was supposed to be Madrimov and Boachuk in December, and then in February it was supposed to be Vergil Ortiz and Madrimov said that he pulled out due to an injury, but I think he knew that he had such a big opportunity at beating Vergil Ortiz that he pulled out of the Boachuk fight. And then Boachuk ended up fighting Ishmael Davies. And that's how that fight happened. And then Madrimov ended up going against Vergil Ortiz, which was another amazing showing by both fighters. But Vergil Ortiz looks even better now.
Yeah, he does.
He looks even more impressive with two killers. Boachuk and Madrimov back-to-back fights. That's crazy for...
I really love the way Vergil Ortiz came back. And that was a slugfest. If you guys haven't seen that fight, I highly recommend it. That's a slugfest. It brings out an amazing Vergil Ortiz.
Yeah.
Coming down from 2 knockdowns, and
it's like one of those great fights that you would tell somebody, if you don't know anything about boxing, watch this one.
Fight,
you could start with this one.
This is a classic.
That will make it fun for you. So we're looking at Vergil Ortiz right now on the run that he's at, because he just signed a fight. I believe it's going to be in October that he's fighting Erickson Lubin. Another heavy-handed fighter, Erickson Lubin, a knockout artist himself. So you got Ortiz fighting Thomas Delorme, Sergey Boachuk, Israel Madrimov. Erickson Lubin remains undefeated right now at 23-0, 21 knockouts to his credit. Vergil Ortiz is on an absolute run. Boachuk, with this victory over Brandon Adams, which I'm favoring Boachuk on this one. I feel that he's on the right side of his career right now, on the upside. This should get him back to Vergil Ortiz, and we should see the rematch with Vergil Ortiz or the winner of Ortiz-Lubin.
Yeah, I like...
Because that's how it's looking. I think Boachuk is lined up right now either to rematch Vergil Ortiz or to get a shot at Sebastian Fundora once again. To get his shot at Sebastian Fundora. He was supposed to have his shot with Sebastian Fundora, and he didn't. Why was it that he didn't get the shot?
Who knows?
Well, no. We do know. It was so Sergey Boachuk was supposed to fight. Oh yeah. Here. So this is last summer, right? If you remember, last summer when Sergey Boachuk fought Vergil Ortiz, he was scheduled on the undercard as a co-main event to Tim Tszyu and Keith Thurman.
Yes.
And Keith Thurman got injured.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
And then they pulled Sebastian Fundora up to fight Tim Tszyu. And that's where that blood cut happened, the elbow on the head, all this. Sergey Boachuk got pulled out of the card, as did Vergil Ortiz. And then they got put in their own event the following month, because that was the big Turkey showing, the Turkey Al-Sheikh arrival to LA, remember, where Eminem and all this, that was that card. Yeah. And that was that was headlined by Madrimov Crawford. So when they pulled him out, he lost his shot at Fundora, never got to fight him, ends up fighting Vergil Ortiz in what should have been the fight of the year. I think it was the fight of the year. And now he's in line with the victory tomorrow night. He's in line to go after Fundora, but Fundora just signed to fight Keith Thurman.
Keith Thurman.
It's all going around.
Yeah, it's all going around.
It's a whole circle.
It's a big circle.
And Ortiz with Lubin. I mean, these are a bunch of killers at 154. And Jermel Charlo's going to come back, who was the last undisputed champ of that division.
But I don't know what happened to Charlo.
And now we got Ennis, who left. He relinquished the welterweight title, joining 154.
I don't know if anybody knows, but Ennis has been sparring with Canelo.
With Canelo, yeah.
So Ennis is...
we'll get into that. So we're all right. So we look at Sergey Boachuk. He's a favorite. Let's look at the next one. Callum Walsh, and Fernando Vargas Jr. Callum Walsh is Dana White's protege. He's Dana White's pet project, I guess you could say. Brought him from Ireland, handed him over to Tom Loeffler. He's been building his career under 360 Promotions under Tom Loeffler in LA. Has a huge following there. Had his big showing at Madison Square Garden for St. Paddy's Day earlier this year. And he is looking better and better and better every performance. His last fight was against Elias Espadas, where he ends up getting cut up and the fight gets stopped. and it was a competitive fight. It looked like Callum Walsh was ahead on the cards at that time, with the Espadas giving him a really hard fight. But Callum Walsh ends up getting the what was it, a TKO victory, I think, or it went to the scorecards after 4 rounds, and he ended up getting the victory awarded to him. Anyways, Callum Walsh undefeated, 14-0. Fernando Vargas Jr. 17-0. Obviously, of the three sons of Fernando Vargas, who's a Hall of Famer himself, he's the eldest of his three sons. And Junior is obviously, all three sons are trying to replicate, not mimic, but definitely try to replicate,
trying to continue with
the legacy. So Fernando Vargas Jr., out of the three, Emiliano Vargas has been the one that we've heard of the most, promoted by Bob Arum. We've seen him put highlight after highlight after highlight knockout, but these are obviously lower level, lower tiered fighters that are definitely not at his level, so he's looking extremely amazing. Fernando Vargas Jr. doesn't have that type of work, those type of highlights like his younger brother does.
Yeah.
You really don't know much about his opposition. They're all up-and-coming fighters. He's been getting built very smartly up to this level. I think he's jumping into this level too soon. He's at the right age. He's got the talent. I think he's coming into the big stage, and this is going to be too big of a stage for him. Callum Walsh is a banger. Yeah, Callum Walsh has a lot of power. Even though he has 3 less wins than Fernando Vargas Jr., I'm heavily favoring Callum Walsh just based on the work that he's put together and how he's looking. He's looking better and better. He's not looking consistent, which is what Junior's looking like. He's looking like a monster each time out. His hooks, his power, the way he mixes the attacks, he's very flat-footed, but he delivers a really, really heavy punch.
Yeah, Callum Walsh is a strong 6-footer. He has a lot of power. He's just strong physically. He's built as an ox. He's a big, strong guy.
Yeah.
He goes for the body a lot. I like that. Like I said earlier, I love body punchers because they're able to finish fights in a better, dramatic way, if you ask me. He's always attacking. He's always going forward. He doesn't sit back. He's always. What I saw, he was also trained by Freddie Roach. I don't know if you know.
He is with Freddie Roach, yeah.
He's trained with Freddie Roach.
Yeah.
So I saw a small amount of the Manny Pacquiao on his toes coming in and out the last time I saw him. He's on his toes, and he's a southpaw. This is Fernando Vargas. I don't know when he fought on a southpaw that big. Fernando Vargas, on the other hand, I'm not too impressed with Fernando Vargas, to be honest with you. He's not the caliber that his younger brother is. He's a little slower.
I think out of the 3 brothers, the Vargas brothers, I think Emiliano Vargas is definitely the most talented and the one with the most promise. Fernando Vargas Jr. he's definitely talented. He's got good combinations. He's got good footwork. I don't think his power is going to be there to hold back Callum Walsh. And Callum Walsh, like you said, comes forward. I think he has some pop, but not the type to stop for Callum Walsh to respect him. And Callum Walsh is going to walk him down.
Yeah, Fernando Vargas Jr. is 5'11", 5'10". Callum Walsh is 6 foot. He's a true 6-footer.
Yeah.
And they're fighting at 154. He's a true 6-footer.
This is a new generation of 154 of the mix that we're just talking. Yeah. Fondora and Thurman and Virgil. And so these guys are right there starting to build their way up. I would put them in the same category. Definitely Callum Walsh in that same category as Sandor Sayas, but now Sandor Sayas has a title. He's got a title because it was relinquished. So now he got moved up a little too fast. I think Callum Walsh could beat Sandor Sayas. I think Callum Walsh is even though he's 14-0 and Junior has a 17-0 record, more wins on his record, on his resume, Callum Walsh, those 14 wins it just seems like
they're very impressive.
His level of boxing is levels ahead of Junior. Yes. And I think we're going to see it.
Yes.
It sucks. Junior's going to get his first loss on his record. I think it's going to be a meaningful one because it's going to be a huge platform, a huge stage. He's going to show out. It's cool that they made this the co-main event rather than the fighters that we've been talking about. I think Mbili and Lester Martinez should have been the co-main event because they're right there knocking on the door of whoever wins the main event. And there's an interim version of the main event title of the WBC, even though that all that's riding on that fight. They made the Young Guns the co-main event, which is Ireland versus Mexico on Mexican Independence Weekend of two Young Guns undefeated. I think there's a stoppage on this one, and I'm heavily favoring Callum Walsh.
I agree with you, Callum Walsh. I think I think he's gonna run down for Junior. Junior doesn't. I don't know why. I honestly don't believe Junior should have taken this fight, even though it's for the belt.
Give me a comparison. How do you see this fight playing out from, like, say, one of the fights that we've seen in the past?
I think Callum Walsh walks him down. He beats him down.
But like which style? Like a Benavidez, Caleb Plant type, or?
No.
That's kind of how I'm seeing this, like a Benavidez, Caleb Plant.
Just walks him down and starts starts going for the body, and I don't think it goes. I don't think it's gonna go to the 10th round.
Hand speed, combinations.
He's just a big, strong guy.
Mix up of attack. You give it to Junior, but the ring IQ of Callum Walsh and the efficiency, the accuracy of his punches, in combination with the power, is gonna wear down Junior.
Yeah,
I think he'll be able to weather the storm of the punches and that Junior throws at him. He'll weather it and keep walking forward.
Yeah, Junior. I don't think Junior is going to stop this guy. I don't think he has the power to stop this guy. Callum Walsh definitely has the power. He's a bigger, stronger fighter. I keep saying that.
If Junior wins it, we got to get back on here and pay our respects.
We'll see.
We got to give him his
like I said, I'm not a big fan of Junior. I don't like what I see with Junior. You know, it's, not for the pedigree of the legacy that this father left behind. His father was a true banger. Junior is more of a showman, if anything. So I think Callum Walsh takes this one. I don't even think it's gonna go to the 10th round.
I don't see it going all the way either.
No.
I'll be surprised if it goes all the way.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, we're surprised a lot,
boxing,
right?
Dude.
Yeah.
This is boxing.
Yeah. And it could possibly go all the way, and then the judges have some nostalgic memories there of their dad.
That's what I hate about boxing. You know, you get some real great fights, and it goes to the wrong person.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I hate about boxing.
You're right.
I can't. No.
All right, let's do it, because this is why we put this whole episode together. Let's talk the main event, because this is a talk of all the boxing shows, of all the breakdowns, everybody's opinion, and that's all it is, right? Just opinions, educated or uneducated. We're trying to break down, and it doesn't matter about being right. It just matters about how we're seeing the sport and how far off we are when it's all said and done, right? Are we breaking down the fights properly? Are we understanding these fighters and their abilities properly? This is what this is culminating to. Terence Crawford, two-time undisputed champion. The resume is there. He's coming up from lightweight all the way to welterweight, where he was dominant, and now he's going from welterweight all the way to super middleweight to challenge Canelo for the throne, something that Charlo failed to do, going from 154 up. Different style fighters, nonetheless boxers. We know that Canelo has a lot. Well, let's do this. These are the narratives. I'm going to give you the narratives that are going, and you probably, if you have any others that you've heard, the narrative is the David versus Goliath, right? Terence Crawford moving up 2 divisions, smaller fighter versus bigger fighter, the boxer versus the puncher. What other narrative is out there? The youth versus the old man, but they're both kind of.
The one Crawford is 36, Canelo's 34.
Is Crawford older?
Yeah.
Okay.
By 2. He's older by 2.
Okay.
So you would think Canelo was the older, because he's a bigger.
He's got more fights, that's for sure. He's got more mileage.
Yeah, he's
got a lot more mileage.
So continue.
So those are the narratives, right? The David versus Goliath scenario that we're seeing, that Terence Crawford is going up against the bigger, heavier puncher and the heavier fighter. The veteran fighter, the more experienced, the face of boxing. Terence Crawford trying to take that. Terence Crawford wins, he'll be 3-time undisputed champion, the only one to accomplish that in the history of this 4-belt era and boxing itself. Canelo Alvarez with a win, a huge name to add to his resume as far as boxing goes. Does he need it? No. I think he's already got a Hall of Fame career, but this would be a huge name for him to add. And I think just my personal opinion, this almost seems like Canelo doesn't want this one to get away from him because he still has those ghosts of Mayweather haunting him ever since that loss. That was his first and only defeat until the Bivol fight came, that being his second defeat.
I agree with you. I think since the Mayweather loss, he dominated. He changed his style. His defense got cleaner.
Yeah.
He was in. You know what? I honestly believe that lost to Mayweather, even though he wasn't at his prime, I don't think he should have taken that fight.
Right.
I think Mayweather, with everything, got him too early. You know, he wasn't at his prime. But I think that fight against Mayweather just made him a better boxer. His defense got a lot better.
Yeah.
His boxing got a lot better.
It changed multiple times because remember the narratives back then was that he couldn't last past 4 rounds, that he would get tired at 4 rounds, run out of stamina, gas out, until most fighters would fight him that way. The issue that Canelo has had, or the critique that people are citing with Crawford over Canelo, is that Canelo has always struggled with boxers, and they give you the example of Mayweather, they give you the example of Erislandy Lara, they give you the example of Triple G, and Dimitri Bivol, that he cannot handle boxers. Now, he handled the boxing style of Charlo. He handled Danny Jacobs. He ended up defeating Erislandy Lara as close as that fight was, and many felt that it should have gone Lara's way. But what about his fight with Cotto? That's where I feel that Canelo, his defense and his boxing was at an all-time best when he beat Cotto. The subsequent victories with Triple G. And, I mean, he's fought the who's who's. He's fought Caleb Plant more recently, which was one of the best boxers that he's faced from the 168 mix.
I really think I think he got better. The thing I think he improved on his hard punching. Me personally, I like the new Canelo versus the old Canelo. The old Canelo took more punches. The new Canelo was just more dominant. It might be the opposite.
We just don't know what version we're gonna see because we seen the Canelo with William Skull. We saw the Canelo with who was it? Jaime Munguia, with Edgar Berlanga, and the claim is that he's carrying these fighters now. He's not knocking them out. He's carrying the fighters, trying to make it an exciting fight. I personally see this fight as Canelo gonna get frustrated. Crawford's gonna pitter patter and jab to get the points, to score on the judge's mind and stay away from Canelo. Okay. And every time we have such big mega superstar type fights like this, they always disappoint.
All right,
very rarely that they don't disappoint. The recent exceptions to me are Bivol and Better BF, both amazing fights.
All right, I want to take it on a different route. Okay, because we're going back and forth.
Yeah.
Let's start out with Canelo. I like Canelo. Okay, let's talk about how we see the outcome of this fight. I see Canelo taking it by power. I think I think he could stop Crawford. Why? Crawford is moving up 2 weight divisions. The last guy he fought, which is what's his name?
I don't think that's a real narrative, though. The fact that he's moving up 2 weight divisions.
It is.
I don't think it's.
I think it is because he loses his punching power, he loses his speed, and those are the 2 big factors that Crawford had. Remember though,
well, I don't think he loses his punching power. This is where my argument comes with that.
Let me finish and then.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
So he's moving up in weight. He's going to 168.
Yeah.
From 154.
54.
He fought Madrigal 154.
Madrimov, yeah.
And he had a hard time.
Only one fight at 154, yeah.
He had a hard time.
Yeah.
Right? He loses it. So what are Crawford's strengths? His speed. His punching power is good at where he was.
He's a switch hitter.
Okay.
Best one since maybe Whitaker or Marvin Hagler, right?
But we're talking about weight classes. That is the original weight, which is 140, 45. 100. It started out at 135.
Paulie Malignaggi, who's one of your favorite boxers of all time, he just said that he sees Crawford Canelo like Roy Jones when he beat John Ruiz. He compared Canelo to John Ruiz.
Oh, John Reese is mad. If anybody could take that head.
Malinagi's wild for saying that.
John Reese wasn't a big contender to begin with, okay? So I see that from that's the reason I like this one. Canelo's very comfortable at 168. He's a bagger. The only thing is that he wants some quicksand. He's flat-footed. He just the only way that I could see Crawford winning this fight if he bobs and weaves and moves in and out.
That's how it's going to be. And it's going to be
a cut. He's going to have to go lighter than 168. He can't win at 168.
The biggest advantage that Canelo's getting is the power that everybody's saying, right? He's a bigger fighter, a fighter. This is, I guess I'll finish with that point because there's so many thoughts going through my head. The moment that his power, if Crawford is able to handle Canelo's punch, then Canelo can't do anything else. He can't outbox Crawford because in a way he has struggled with that type of fighter. And we're going to see Crawford do enough to please the judges like he did with Madrimov to pull out the fight.
I don't think if it goes to the judges, I don't think Canelo wins.
Exactly.
I'm telling you right now,
I agree.
Canelo is not going to win.
I agree.
Crawford will take that fight in the judges' part.
But do you really see Canelo knocking out Crawford?
I think he has a great, you know what? Honestly, he has a great chance of stopping him. He has a great chance of stopping him. You got to understand, Crawford.
What I'm saying is,
Crawford got brought
if Canelo's power doesn't hurt Crawford, and I'll follow it up, but if Canelo's power doesn't hurt Crawford, what else does Canelo have? He's not going to get the decision, and we're both in agreement with that. Even though everybody asked Crawford yesterday during the press conference, do you think you'll get a decision in Las Vegas against Canelo? So and everybody's thinking that Canelo's automatically winning by decision. It's not. No. This is going to be just like Mayweather, just like... I don't see Canelo pulling this fight off unless he hurts Crawford significantly. He could get the decision if there's at least one knockdown.
I want to say that on paper, I think Canelo takes it.
He dropped Berlanga.
He dropped Berlanga, but Berlanga...
Well, he's a big body.
I believe he carried Berlanga, and I believe he did carry Munguia.
The reason why I think the two divisions is somewhat of a false narrative is because Crawford usually walks around about 180, 190. Canelo walks around about 180, 190, maybe pushing 200. So he cuts down to 168, but Crawford cuts down to 154 for one fight, 147 from a normal 170, 180 walk-around weight. That's why his power is so impressive in the lower weight divisions, because he's cutting down that low. Now he didn't have to cut down that low to go to 168, so he's a lot more comfortable at being closer to his natural power. So a lot of people saying that the smaller fighters going up, that's why Crawford's so confident in this, because he doesn't have to stress himself with the added weight cut.
He's never seen Crawford at 168. We've seen him at 154. We've seen him at 135. We've seen him at 140.
Is there a weight class on this? A rehydration class?
No.
I don't think so.
But they're still, dude, they're fighting at 168 pounds. That's extremely heavy for Crawford.
For his style of fighting.
For his style.
And for his first time fighting.
Yes, I remember seeing him against Benavides. He was quick. They were both quick. You know, he beats their fighters on speed, switching around. You know, he's a well-rounded boxer. But this is a different beast. That's what I keep saying. They're fighting at 168.
So here it is. There is no rehydration clause for this fight. So, because Crawford stated that he wants Canelo at his best and doesn't want excuses. So Canelo, I mean, now that changes things, right? Because Crawford's probably going to be around his normal weight after today's weigh-in, which is that of 170, high 170s, 180s, and Canelo will be around the same. And the punching power, we know that Canelo has been punching against bigger fighters who cut down to 168, while Crawford has been the heavier puncher against smaller fighters. That's where the difference comes, because I was under the impression they had a 10-pound rehydration.
I don't know if you remember our last podcast that we had. I always said it, and I'll say it again. There's always an unknown in each boxing match.
Right.
There's always an unknown. That's why I can't really tell. The unknown in this boxing match is going to be Crawford's power. That's it. Is he going to have a pepper to stop, even slow down Canelo? We know what Canelo can do at 168. We know what Canelo can do at 154. But Canelo has a lot of power. You know? So the question
it's almost done. Sorry.
The question that I have, so we know what Canelo's bringing into the ring. We know what
version of Canelo are we going to see?
I think we're going to see a quicker version.
But like against which opponent?
I think
he's built this. Second half of his career at 168.
I know what he did against Charlo. He stopped Charlo pretty much. You know, Charlo couldn't even stand. He couldn't even stand in front of him. Charlo ran around the whole entire night.
Because of the power.
Charlo's a bigger guy than Crawford.
He was taller than Canelo on fight night.
Yeah, he was taller than Canelo. Berlanga, he banged out with Berlanga. Berlanga's a big ass dude. He banged out with Munguia, 43-0. Berlanga 22-0. Scott 23-0. So he banged with these guys. The question that I have is that is Crawford gonna be able to bang with Canelo?
He's not gonna stand and bang with Canelo.
And that's my thing.
It's gonna be jabbing. It's gonna be a jabbing session, staying away, getting out of the pocket.
It's too heavy.
That's the intrigue.
And that's why I say
there you go.
At 168, that's the unknown. Is Crawford gonna be able?
So what I'm seeing is that Crawford is gonna be boxing, getting on his feet, getting on his bicycle, jabbing and staying away. And you're saying traditionally he would, but he won't be able. It won't pay off because he's gonna be too heavy from the traditional.
I think we're gonna see a repeat of Charlo and Canelo. And if Crawford,
that's interesting.
Well, if Crawford decides to stand there and bang with Canelo, I think he gets floored. I think it's an early. It becomes a. I don't think he's gonna.
You know they have one opponent in common. Can you guess who? Can you remember who?
No.
Which I don't even think that fight matters to compare in this, but you don't remember who they both fought? Or
I think I know
who fought both of them?
Caleb Plant?
No, Caleb Plant. Remember, Crawford has never fought it this way.
No.
Amir Khan.
Amir Khan. That's years ago.
Yeah.
And Amir Khan was not a big guy. He was a skinny guy.
And both of them knocked him left and right. They bobbleheaded him. But the first one, if you remember, Amir Khan was winning that fight on the scorecards with Canelo.
Yeah, but
he was outboxing him at 154. He was outboxing the crap out of him, and then Canelo's power got him.
How tall is Crawford?
He looks taller than Canelo. I think. Canelo's about 5'8", and Crawford must be 5'9". No, he must be like 5'10", 5'11".
No, I don't think he's that tall.
You don't think he's that tall? No. I thought he was. He definitely looks taller on the face-offs by 2 inches or so.
So the point that I'm trying to make is that.
So you're comparing. You believe that this is going to be Canelo Charlo 2.0 tomorrow.
So Crawford is 5'8" too.
5'8"? He definitely looks. No way. He looks taller.
This is what I'm trying to tell you, dude. This is where I'm going with this fight. I mean, you can sit here and tell me, oh, he's fought this guy, he's just quick, but it all changes at 160.
Right.
It all changes. He hasn't fought anybody at 160. He sparred probably at 168, but that means nothing.
He spars Steven Nelson.
And Canelo sparred Ennis.
You mentioned it earlier. What did you take away from the little bit that we know about the sparring sessions?
The sparring sessions was Canelo was really taking it to Ennis. And the ring is smaller, obviously, and they have headgear, so it was just they're just working. But
there's a story that Ennis destroyed Canelo on the sparring session.
Well, I'm pretty sure he did.
So they have there's something interesting that came up.
I think Ennis can take Crawford.
That's what I was going to ask you about Ennis and Crawford.
That fight was never made because I don't think Crawford wants to fight in this.
It never got made at 147 because then
You gotta
Crawford went
understand,
up.
Crawford's already 38 years old.
Is he 36 or 38?
I think he's
You just gave him 2 more birthdays.
Oh, wait a minute.
I thought you said 36 earlier.
Well, I don't know how accurate this is, but he's
What are you looking at? Box truck?
yeah.
What do they have him in there? 36, I believe. I don't think he's 38, is he?
No, see, he's 2 years older than Canelo.
So what? How old is he? What does it say?
Doesn't say.
Let's Google this thing real quick, because
But it doesn't matter. He's 2 years older than Canelo. Even though Canelo was a little bit more worn out, but Canelo's had he's 36.
so Canelo's 35
Yeah.
as of right now, 35. So I don't think they either have a birthday tomorrow, right? So Canelo 35, Terence is 37.
There you go. 2 years.
This is the intrigue that I have with Terence Crawford, right? Going back to lightweights, 135, Gamboa ended up shaking him, remember?
Yeah.
Then these undisputed ships were usually vacant titles, so forth. Nonetheless, you got to give him credit because he was there at the right place at the right time and did enough to win these fights and dominate, right? So he accumulated the titles. His biggest victory in his resume, in my opinion, is the Errol Spence victory. That he took apart Errol Spence. But then we saw him against Sean Porter.
I wasn't impressed with Errol Spence.
I know, though. I don't even know what the hell, what version of Errol Spence showed up.
Conversation.
Yeah, I was going for Errol Spence.
Everybody was going for Errol Spence. I remember talking to everybody, and everybody thought I was an idiot for going for Crawford, because I knew Crawford was very extremely crafty. And how did it turn out? Exactly how I called it.
Dismantled him.
He dismantled. Now you could talk about Crawford or Spence having that car accident, his eyes were glossy, blah blah blah. Spence hasn't come back since that fight. He never.
Right, yeah, he hasn't come back.
So
The other thing, now that you just said that, the layoff for Crawford, he hasn't fought since the Madrimov fight, since last summer.
last summer.
Crawford,
So-
and at that age, those layoffs, they either pay a benefit to you because they let your body rest, or they're detrimental because ring rust becomes real the older you get.
Check this
Canelo
out.
just fought in May.
I know. Check this out. Madrimov. They fought at 154.
Right, that was his only fight at 154.
154. He's 10-0.
Yeah,
10-0. He might have had an exceptional amateur.
he did.
career.
Yeah, and Olympic career as well, I
But
think.
he had a hard time with Madrimov.
Yeah.
So
Well, I was just gonna tell you, before Madrimov, who was it? It was Sean Porter, right?
Sean.
Or no, it was Errol Spence, and then before Errol Spence, Sean Porter.
No, Avestania.
Oh, Avanesian.
Avenisian.
And then, when did he fight Sean Porter? Was it directly before that?
Yeah, he fought him back in 2021.
So that Sean Porter fight was when it was, I believe that was when his contract was ending or something like that. And then the Avanesian fight, he went to that BLK promotion that nobody watched. Anyways,
I didn't even know he fought any. I don't even can't pronounce his name.
Avanesian. So I remember the Sean Porter fight. There's a highlight. I know there's clips on this or short where Crawford is sitting on the corner midway through the fight, and Bomac tells him that he's losing the fight to Sean Porter. Sean Porter was beating him, and this fight was at 147, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I think history has shown he has a harder time the heavier on heavier weights. Now, let me show you. Let me show you something else. I'm going to go back to 2018, and I'm going to tell you his fights, the type of opposition he's fought. Benavides 27-0, Khan 33-4, 21-0, 39-2, 30-3, 29-3, 28-0, 10-0. Okay, now let's look at Canelo.
Really good records.
They're really, but look,
He was fighting the top rank.
so
fighters.
We'll start with Surgical Cavalla, 34-3, 27-0, 21-0, 30-0. 21-0 KO Plant. Bivo, 19-0. Golovkin, 42-1, 32-5, 35-1, 43-0, 22-0. Canelo has 5 stronger opposition.
Right.
Okay, so that's another thing that I want to point out.
Experience.
Experience. He's fought some good fighters.
like great fighters.
Well, just based on the record, yeah.
I mean, let's just mention all the way back to when he fought Mayweather, whether he was ready or not. He's got Mayweather on his record, on his resume. Shane Mosley. He fought Miguel Cotto. He's fought Golovkin 3 times. Dimitri Bivol.
He fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. 50-2.
Well, but Jake Paul destroyed him too.
No. This is 2017. He just fought Jake Paul.
Yeah, but he was all drugged out already there too,
It
no?
doesn't matter, 50-2.
Yeah, that's true.
And
His
you know
record.
what? Chavez Jr. was supposed to be the next heir to the great.
It was the vices, and the vices is what gets him the habits.
The point that I'm trying to make: Amir Khan 31-3, Cotto 40-4, Kirkland. They interviewed him. He's like, Kirkland was the one that hit me the hardest.
Yeah.
Kirkland. And I thought Kirkland was over the hill.
Kirkland was a monster, though.
He was a monster. He was massacring people.
I mean, just think about it. Like, even when he goes up to 168, he beats Callum Smith, who was the ring champion at that time for the division. The division was a little weak, right? He beats Callum Smith. Then he beats BJ Saunders, who was arguably, at that time, according to the English fans, he was the best super middleweight that he could have fought.
Jacob Daniels, 35-2.
Yeah.
Jacob Daniels.
No. Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs.
Daniel.
Yeah, Danny Jacobs, yeah.
So he fought him 35-2.
Danny Jacobs was a great boxer.
He was a great boxer.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people thought that he beat Triple G, and they gave the decision to Triple G.
He even said it. He's not the monster people think he is.
Right.
Triple G was a freaking ass.
Yeah, he was, but that's how good of a boxer Danny Jacobs was. For people that say that Canelo can't handle boxers, he's got a lot of boxers that he's been able to beat.
That's the point that I'm trying to make. Canelo, all in all, he has better opposition. Even though he's slowed down through the years, like I said, now he walks in quicksand. He relies on his power.
Do you think he's carrying fighters, or he just lost
I think he carried Berlanga, and I think he carried
You don't think that he's just lost power, like he just can't knock anybody out anymore?
No. I don't think so, dude. I don't think so. I think he could have finished.
Because he hurts him, he's dropped him, but then he doesn't finish him.
Come on, dude. Seriously.
Well,
I think he carried.
What's the benefit of going 12 rounds with Berlanga?
Well, remember Mike Tyson?
But look at Bruno Suras and Jaime Munguia.
A lot of times, a lot of these boxers, they want to go a good 12 rounds because they need the experience. Well, what good is he if he knocks out Berlanga on the first round and get on the second round?
I mean, it would have been sweet.
But the point that I'm trying to make is, especially
look at Hamza Shiraz. He didn't give a crap. He just destroyed Berlanga.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's like, I don't need the rounds. I'm destroying you.
Well, he's young. He's Canelo's at the end of his career.
Yeah.
So,
talking about that fight, Hamza Shiraz, another player at 168 now, right?
Nobody talks about
and nobody talks. We didn't even bring him up.
Nobody knew about Berlanga before Canelo.
Right, except for biting his opponent. No. But Callum Walsh, it just came to mind. Callum Walsh has a very similar style to that of Hamza Shiraz.
But remember last time we had our podcast, I also mentioned this to you. How many fighters are out there that we're not aware of?
Oh, yeah.
This is a perfect example.
Yeah. Well, Lester Martinez, we're going to see.
Lester Martinez.
We're going to see an Mbili. We've seen Mbili. And we've seen his up and downs, but he's still undefeated.
I love Lester Martinez. I love his boxing style.
Yeah.
I really want to see that fight.
Yeah,
I really want to see that fight.
That's going to be good.
But coming back to Canelo and Crawford, that's the reason I'm picking Canelo.
Yeah.
Now, if it goes to the scorecards, which...
Does it hurt you to pick Canelo as a Benavidez fan?
No, it doesn't hurt me to... It doesn't hurt me to pick Canelo because I actually like Canelo. I know what he could do. I've seen him multiple times.
If he loses, does he retire?
Well, he has one more fight in his contract. Remember, but there might be I don't know. Are they going to push it to a Crawford Canelo too?
I don't know. A lot of people are thinking that there's a rematch already signed under the table there. Oh. But a lot of people think that if Canelo wins this, the narratives are that if Canelo wins this, he goes to May and fights Benavidez for the big purse.
No.
Because this is going to be such a big purse and a big stadium that the revenue is going to be there to pay Canelo the purse that he's asking for, which was like $150 or $200 million. I don't know how realistic that is, but the fact that they're selling such a big arena with such a big venue, the money will be there. So that's one narrative. Two, if It could go to a rematch. If it's a close, tight, contested fight, it could go to a rematch. If he loses, I don't know who he would fight.
Who?
I don't know who he would fight.
Well,
There's nobody else. There's nothing else for him to do.
They interviewed Benavidez.
If it's a decision tight loss, they might do the rematch.
They might do the rematch.
But if it's a wash and Crawford just destroys him, I think Canelo retires tomorrow night.
So they interviewed Benavidez, all right? Because Benavidez was fighting at 175.
Yeah.
They interviewed Benavidez recently, and they asked him if Canelo loses to Crawford, is he willing to come down? And Benavidez is like, dude, I'm dropping weight, and I'm fighting Benavidez. No, I'm fighting Crawford.
He's gonna get on that Ozempic.
Oh, dude. But you know what? I'm sorry for all the fans out there. I'm a huge fan of Benavidez. I'm very extremely disappointed that Canelo never fought Benavidez. And I know some of you guys are like, well, whatever. That would have been a great fight.
I think so
I think Canelo should have fought Benavidez
sooner.
When the WBO,
WBC.
was it the WBC?
Yeah.
I thought it was WBO.
No, the WBC. That's the one that Benavidez has won 3 times as interim.
Back in the day when it was just like 4 years ago, when the Benavidez became the mandatory for Canelo.
Yeah, he should have wiped them right there.
They should have taken him on, but now, no.
Yeah.
No.
You think Benavidez is too strong now, too smart,
Oh yeah, he's
too developed.
Oh yeah, Benavidez is.
That would be interesting. There's a part of me.
Let me ask you a question.
Go for it.
You think Crawford was willing to fight Benavidez at 100?
No.
Who do you think?
I was about to tell you this. I think that we're gonna see De La Hoya Mayweather. Remember that they had the rematch signed, and Mayweather retires
for a year.
Just for a year, 1 day or something like that, just enough to where De La Hoya ends up getting
the rematch.
To avoid the rematch. He retires. De La Hoya ends up going against Manny Pacquiao, gets destroyed, leaves the sport, and then Mayweather came back and then had 3 or 4 more years, including the Pacquiao fight, the Mosley fight, the Canelo fight, the Cotto fight. All those came after his retirement. But I think Crawford if he pulls off this decision, he retires and he leaves his mark in the sport, doesn't need to risk losing. He'll be undefeated, 3-time undisputed, and with all the glory, all the money, and then he leaves. And then he won't honor the rematch clause or whatever Canelo wants. He'll just pull the rug from under everybody.
Yeah, I don't think he continues.
Why would he want to fight Benavidez or anybody else? Who else is there? He just beats Canelo, retires, and he goes out on top.
There's not unless the money's there. I don't think he fights Benavidez.
Yeah.
Benavidez is too much of a risk. Benavidez is a destroyer.
Yeah.
If anybody knows, and Benavidez is the reason.
Yeah, I don't see him.
He's fighting at 175.
I don't think that's anywhere in this realm that we see Benavidez Crawford. So, and that's the only reason that there would be a rematch is if it's highly because you know that if it's a really tight fight and Canelo gets it, you know that Crawford and all of them are going to be screaming robbery, screaming this, to get the rematch going. If it's such a tight fight and Canelo doesn't get the decision, he stays quiet. Yeah. He stays quiet. He'll be like, all right, let's renegotiate. I thought I won, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll do the rematch. But if it's a wash, kind of like the Errol Spence, which I don't see it happening, but if Crawford destroys Canelo like he did to Errol Spence, which we didn't see that happening either, Crawford retires and that's it. And he goes out as possibly one of the greats or the greatest.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like this fight. I never liked this fight. This fight didn't make any sense to me. It was just a big money fight. It wasn't a Mayweather Pacquiao. They weren't even close.
Even that fight disappointed. It was too long, too little, too late, and it disappointed. It didn't live up to the hype of what it was built up to.
This one, this one's gonna be a good one. I just don't trust the judges.
I think it's gonna be Crawford Madrimov all over again.
Yeah,
I think Canelo's gonna get frustrated. He's gonna get frustrated that the fight's not going his way. And the guy that says it's gonna fight him, he's expecting Crawford to stand and bang, and Crawford's not gonna stand and bang. But Crawford, knowing him, he is very prideful. If he gets hurt, he's not gonna go out easy. He's gonna make Canelo work for it. And we've seen Crawford hurt but recover fairly
I
quickly.
haven't seen Crawford, and I keep coming back to the weight. When I haven't seen Crawford at 160, this is the first time he fights an elite fighter at 168.
Yeah.
That's the first time he fights at 160.
Is this the first time he fights an elite fighter?
I think he fought Spence.
Was Spence a good fighter, a great fighter, or an elite fighter?
I think Spence was undefeated at the time.
Right, but was he an elite fighter?
No, by no means.
So who's the elite fighter that Crawford has faced to date?
Jeff Horn, he beat
Jeff.
he beat Pacquiao.
Pacquiao, yeah.
You know what? Honestly, I was impressed when he beat Gamboa.
He's got a lot of good fighters, a lot of great fighters. He's got a couple great fighters. Sean Porter. He never fought Danny Garcia at welterweight, but that would have been too.
Kell Brook. I love the Kell Brook.
Yeah, but that wasn't.
Kell Brook was a bigger, stronger.
Kell
guy.
Brook was done after Triple G.
Yeah,
Triple
he
G
was.
destroyed his orbital. And then Crawford broke the other one.
Madrigal. I mean, who hasn't really fought? Not a lot of great fighters. That's why earlier I threw all the fighters that he fought. They're pretty much all 20s and ones or zeros. Canelo's fighters that had 30 plus.
It's just the amount of wear and tear. Even though he's the older fighter, I feel that Canelo has more wear and tear because of the level of opposition that he's faced than what Crawford has faced. I think Crawford has
41 wins.
Crawford could be older, but a lot more youthful body-wise and with less damage that he's taken. Just think about the 3 fights with Golovkin. How much damage did Canelo take?
Crawford has 41 bouts. Canelo has 63 bouts.
63 wins or 63 fights?
63 fights.
He's 63-2, no? So 65 fights overall.
Yeah, 65.
This is a 66 fight then.
Yeah, so that's why he has more.
He's got a lot more mileage.
Yeah, but we'll see.
I know. That's the interesting thing. So what are you saying? You're saying Crawford wins.
No, Canelo wins.
You're saying Canelo wins.
If it goes to so this is my prediction. Canelo stops Crawford. But
Late or mid or early?
Late.
It's a big mistake if he tries to carry Crawford. Crawford will adapt.
He's gonna try to stop him. No, not with Crawford. I don't think he's gonna try.
He won't play around with Crawford.
No, but
it's too big.
But if it goes to the scorecards, Crawford is.
You think Canelo's still haunted by the Mayweather loss? He's always been. You think it's something that's always stuck with them?
He has in past interviews. He said that the Mayweather fight was very hurtful for him. But you know what? In all reality, I've seen a better version of Canelo after the Mayweather fight.
Yeah, I definitely.
And a lot of the experts have agreed with me. Well, not agreed with me, but they've actually said the same thing. We've seen a better version of Canelo after the Mayweather fight.
I noticed that after the Cotto, in the Cotto fight, how great his boxing and defense had gotten.
I really enjoyed that fight, the Cotto against Canelo. It was a great Mexican against Puerto Rico. It was a great puncher. They were both
counter puncher versus boxer versus
it was a great fight. Great. I'm very blessed that I think we should all be very blessed that fight happened and Cotto, the warrior that he was there to band with Canelo and get him run. And all in all, even if Canelo would have won, Cotto would have won, I still would have been grateful that fight happened, because at the time not a lot of great fights were being shown. Yeah. So
it sucks that we never got to see Crawford really tested.
And
who has been Crawford's Golovkin?
Oh, he never had one. That's what I'm telling you.
Who has been Crawford's Cotto? Maybe Sean Porter?
No, I think it was Earl Spence. I think that for the longest time, everybody wanted to see that fight, Earl Spence against. Remember how?
Yeah. Well, years.
They were pushing that fight, and I'm like,
well, I think that was like a Mayweather Pacquiao type fight. It was so big
because they were both dominant in their fights, and they never encountered those.
I think mindset. The thing is that these two are it's high level chess, and both of them are so strong minded that hopefully it becomes a superbly strategic fight.
I really love the Kell Brook fight with Crawford. I really loved it because it was in England, and Kell Brook.
No, it wasn't in England. It was here in the U.S. No.
No, I think it was in England.
Crawford went to England.
I think so.
I don't think so.
Oh, I can't. But anyways, look it up.
Yeah.
But
I'm not trying to prove you wrong. I just don't remember
I
that.
think it was in England. I really want to say it was in England. Might be wrong. But
What did you like about that fight so much?
Kell Brook he was a bigger, more dominant fighter. So Crawford had his work cut out.
He just wasn't the same after. He wasn't the same after the Golovkin fight. Golovkin damaged his eye, and
He
then
damaged his eye, but
it
still.
affected his way of fighting. Kell Brook didn't want to take as much. He wasn't as aggressive. He didn't want to take.
Why didn't
It was at the MGM Grand. It was in Vegas.
Was it in Vegas? I was
Yeah.
on that. Why didn't Crawford fight Triple G?
It's too little. He
But
was too little.
But he fought Canelo 3 times.
Well, no, because they were campaigning at middleweight, and then the third fight was at 168. Between them two, at that time, Crawford was 140, 147.
Well, they managed to make that fight. They managed
Right.
to make this fight.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Did he pick and choose his fighters?
It's a styles make fights type thing, right? Max Kellerman mentions that he sees this fight like Roberto Duran, Marvin Hagler. Roberto Duran, the lightweight, went up and challenged the true middleweight and Marvin Hagler. That's the amount of divisions that Roberto Duran crossed.
The boxers are not the same. The eras are not the same.
You think Roberto Duran and Crawford?
Roberto Duran would have killed all the boxers today.
Yeah.
And there was, I actually heard there's an interview lately about these fights. That the boxers from the old days, the 4 horsemen, the Duran, the Hearns, the Haglers, and the help me out, Duran, Hagler, Hearns,
Leonard.
Sugar Ray Leonard would have killed all these boxers. Every single one of these boxers, nobody would have held the glass.
It was just a different style. Like I've heard older boxers say that if they would have had conditioning coaches, dietary plans, nutritionists, all that, their careers would have been even better. But because they didn't, they used to do everything hard. Like their bodies used to take a lot more damage, and maybe people were just made harder back then.
It's
You know?
funny that recently I saw a podcast with Mikey Garcia, and it's the same thing that's going on. It's like nowadays and that's something that they brought up. They have the nutrition.
Why did Mikey Garcia never fight Terence Crawford? They were supposed to fight at 135.
Well, because Mikey Garcia had his own problems outside the
They were in the same promotion, Bob Arum.
Mikey Garcia had his own problems outside the ring.
Yeah.
He's being promoted by Bob Arum.
Lomachenko never fought Terence Crawford at 135.
I'm trying to say. At
135.
I brought it earlier. Crawford didn't have the opposition that Canelo fought.
Yeah.
Crawford never really took a risk the way Canelo did. Canelo pretty much fought everybody. He fought Sergey Kovalev. He fought, give me 2 seconds, please. He fought, just to mention some of the fights he fought. He fought Munguia, Charlo, Golovkin, Bivol. Even though he lost to Bivol, he took a chance and he went up to 168?
175.
175 to fight him. He fought Keenan Plant, Saunders, Smith. They're all great fighters. Jacobs.
Go to where he fought at Islandi Lara. Who did he fight before Lara? That's when he was at 154. Just so we could gauge Canelo's record at 154, he fought at Islandi Lara. He fought Kirkland at 154. I think he fought Mosley at 147.
Kirkland.
You're right.
Lara.
Yeah.
That's when he knocked out Kirkland.
Who else did he fight at 154?
He fought Miguel Cotto, Amir Khan.
Miguel Cotto was at 160.
Was it at 160?
Yeah. Amir Khan was
So
154.
he fought Mayweather. And he fought Mayweather at what?
At 150, they did that catch weight.
Catchweight. And then he fought Pedro Angulo.
Oh, 154. Pedro Angulo fight was fun.
And Pedro Angulo was a tough fucking up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're all right. Ni modo. Get the F words out. It's exciting, dude.
He fought Angulo. Angulo was a great fight, too.
Yeah.
Angulo was one for the ages. 2 Mexican-style boxers.
You try to edit yourself, dude. It's boxing.
But do you see where I'm coming from? Do you see
Yeah.
where
No. I know. I
I know you want Crawford to win.
no. Look,
And I know you're
I just-
looking for, you want Canelo to have the stomach flus that Crawford can win, but it's not.
I feel like when these fights get so big, they usually either under deliver, or if they deliver, it's usually something that you did not expect. And Crawford is at a point where, yes, he built a career in smaller weight divisions, but he's almost mentally carrying himself through these big he's able to do these big performances because he's mentally ahead of everybody else. And so it's almost like we're knocking on his resume because he built it on smaller divisions, but he's been able to go up divisions and dominate in every division for whoever's been available, right? Because remember, with Bob Arum, he couldn't fight certain guys. He couldn't fight Danny Garcia because they were over with PBC, and he couldn't fight this guy, Mikey Garcia, because he was away on his promotional lawsuit. And so there was fights that got away, but actually, Crawford was dominating everybody else that was available at that time, and then move up and dominate and move up and dominate.
No, he was actually they almost made that fight, Mike Garcia against Crawford.
Yeah.
Before the lawsuit.
Yeah.
But the lawsuit came around, and that fight got canceled.
Yeah, it was headed there, and I'm trying to think of like who else. I know Virgil Ortiz wanted to fight Crawford when he was barely building his way out. I think it was after
recently too,
Virgil Ortiz. Yeah, like I think a few years ago, Virgil Ortiz with Maurice Hooker. He beat some. Crawford's at ringside. Crawford had just moved up from 140 to 147, and Virgil Ortiz wanted him. I'm glad that fight didn't happen because Virgil Ortiz is a 10 times better fighter right now than he was at 140.
I agree with you.
He was too young. That would have been another Canelo Mayweather.
Yeah.
Too soon. And too young.
I think Virgil Ortiz is an excellent fighter, and then I think that would have been his first and only loss.
So let's pick. So you're saying Canelo wins by stoppage, hands down.
He stops him, but if they go to the scorecard, Crawford wins.
Crawford wins. I think I'm exactly on the same page with you. If Canelo doesn't stop him, the only way that I see Canelo winning a decision, he has to have knockdowns. But just pure boxing, 10-9 rounds, there's no way that he gets a decision against Crawford.
Like I said,
I feel like old school boxing is going to make his last presentation or his last play the boxing that we hate so much when there's controversial boxing decisions. I think it's going to show its face in an ugly way. Or at least I'm fearful that it shows its face again, because the narrative is there that this is Crawford is the official ambassador for Riyadh season for 3 years in a row. And Canelo knows it. So he keeps telling him, your Uncle Turkey is going to protect you. Uncle Turkey. And if that happens, and there's shenanigans with the judging, that's why I don't see Canelo pulling out a decision. If he drops him, I think it's going to make it hard for the points to justify a Crawford decision over Canelo. I think Canelo has two ways of winning. Convincingly through the scorecards by dropping or hurting Crawford, or stopping him. And Crawford, all he has to do, in my opinion, is just box. And just stay out of the way, just box him, stay on the outside, and he'll win. He'll cruise to a decision.
In his defense, Crawford has always been one of those in your face, box, rough. He's a mean bastard in the ring. That's hopefully he brings that mentality to Canelo. I really want to see that side of Crawford.
Me too.
I don't want to see him run around like he did, like what's the name of that just fought
Skull? Yeah, William Skull.
I don't want to see that fight.
Yeah, nobody did.
So
nobody did, and nobody talks about it. Like even during the fight, nobody wanted to see it anymore.
You know what? In all reality, we still have a couple of great boxing matches before that fight. So who knows? Yeah,
and there's other fights that we didn't mention. It's such a long, lengthy boxing card, but I think we touched on the main ones. I think the main ones that people need to focus on is the ones that we talked about.
But this is the fight for the ages right here. This fight right here is the fight for the ages. So if anything, I believe this is the reason why Crawford and Canelo took up majority of the time.
I hope that whoever wins wins it convincingly. And that's it. I don't want controversy. And usually when there's such major events like this, there's always something controversial. De La Hoya Trinidad, Pacquiao Mayweather, Canelo Mayweather with that one judge, right? Remember the lady judge that gave
Rocky and Apollo Creed first.
yeah. Huge robbery.
And
There's been a lot. What about Felix Sturm de la Hoya?
De La Hoya.
What about the second Mosley de la Hoya? Like these are fights that, and then the Golovkins that were backwards, right? A lot of people thought that it should have been a draw, the first one. And Barrera.
Backwards too.
Yeah. So we've seen these big and the Pacquiao Marquezes, right? And Marquez always thought they were robbing them.
I believe they were robbing them. I honestly believe the first one. I think he got robbed on the first one. The third.
Well,
one.
he couldn't have. I think Marquez got a real big help from the referee in the first one.
I don't know. You think so?
Almost every referee would stop after 3 knockdowns. They would be like, "All right."
But was it a mandatory 3 knockdown rule?
I believe there's a 3 knockdown rule in Nevada.
That fight was it
Yeah, I think they gave him because he looked so complete and was answering the count. But almost any other ref, I want to say that they would have been like, "You're done."
Yeah, but
he was getting smoked.
They were flash knockdowns. They weren't like.
Yeah, they were.
They were flash knockdowns. So it wasn't like he got caught off balance or whatever. But they weren't like power hits where.
I think the second or the third was one of the hardest knockdowns, but he managed to answer because I remember Marquez looking at Nacho to the corner and he's like, well, and then he gets up to answer and then it goes to a draw, right? The fact that he was allowed to continue, that was the interesting thing.
If any of you guys ever seen those fights and you haven't seen those fights, I highly recommend them. The ones that we just talked about. They're great fights. They're also great fights for the ages.
Yeah, those are classic fights that we hope that this one lives up to it tomorrow. There's so much hype. Obviously, we're talking about it. And this is cool because this is when boxing comes to the forefront, right? And there's so many people talking about this. Everybody's picking. And who knows how it's going to play out. I hope there's no controversy. I hope whoever wins does it in a convincing fashion, whether Canelo stops Crawford or Crawford just routs Canelo in a one-sided fight. But if it's a freaking stay away, run like a skull fight, and then he gets a decision and then retires as a 3-time undisputed, here we go with Mayweather all over again, where he's claiming to be the greatest fighter of all time at 50-0, but we're like, come on. Your 50th win was against McGregor.
You know what? That's just it's too much. It's too big. This fight's
when there's too much money involved and all that, it worries me.
Big, 2 great fighters, one's moving up, and it's another Mayweather Pacquiao fight. It's another Canelo.
Let's hope not.
La Hoya Trinidad fight is just it's a big, huge fight.
Yeah.
And like you said, I just don't want to see any controversy. If Canelo gets knocked out or he loses a convention, if he loses convincingly,
yeah,
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
If Crawford loses convincingly and gets knocked out, I'm good with it. I just really want to see the best of these 2 guys. I want to see their skills.
Yeah,
They made their career. That's the reason why they climbed the ladder that they're at. That's the reason they're on top of the mountain. I want to see those skills properly being used in the ring, and I don't want to see any shenanigans, and because it gets to the point where
that's what worries us, right? Because we've seen it happen time and time again. But the ideal fight that we're all expecting is that we see a clash of styles and a clash of resumes of 2 elite fighters actually bring the fight to one another so we could see which style is better, which one dominated the other. That's the ideal thing that we're expecting. Is that what we're going to get? Fingers crossed. Time and time again, we've been let down, and then it ends up being a wash, and everybody's like, what the hell? And that's what pushes fans away from the sport. But I think this would be a huge benefit to the sport, especially in the route that it's going to and the changes that are coming for the sport of boxing. This would be a huge catalyst for the sport of boxing for 2 fighters to leave a good mark.
Yeah, this will catapult boxing beyond what it is.
And the fact that it's on Netflix, you got more eyes that probably don't even want to watch it. You're going to have millions and millions and millions of people watching this thing now.
Last time there was a fight, who fought on Netflix last time? Was it
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul?
And then the stream goes down.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but I think they got it fixed now. I think.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. It's going to be too many people watching, yeah.
There's too many. This is a huge fight.
Yeah, it's a huge fight.
It's one for the ages right here.
It's interesting. I think we're on the same page as far as what we're asking of this fight. I think we're being realistic as boxing fans for what we're asking for this fight to pan out. And I think the way we're calling it, we're on the same page as well. I don't know how everybody else sees it. I would love to see you guys' comments. And leave us a comment, leave us a review, shoot in a message to the show, whether it's on Instagram or YouTube or Buzzsprout, Spotify, whatever it is that you see it, shoot us a message. Let us know how it is that you're calling the fight. And I think we're seeing Canelo by stoppage or some type of lead in the scores, knockdown or so forth. And
I really enjoyed the way we broke it down.
And Crawford, I think, gets a decision.
I really enjoyed the way we broke it down. We broke down the styles, the weight, the oppositions that they've had, and I mean, we gave it a true,
even the changes that are about to happen in boxing, we skimmed over it, but
honest opinion on what's the way we look at it. So,
and we're just boxing fans. We don't have a promoter behind us. We don't have sponsors. There's no major anybody telling us like, you guys got to say this or push this narrative. We're just fans. Casual fans, actually more than casual. We're hardcore boxing fans, I would say, and true boxing fans speaking on behalf and for the boxing fan out there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This is the way to do it. I've been gone from this mic for so long because I've been going to live events, covering live events, getting to know people and conducting interviews that I got away from the podcast format. But if we were going to come back, this is a way to do it with a 2-hour episode.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and thank you for having me here.
Cholo Travieso, thank you again. Heck Cali, checking out. Thank you for checking out the Toma Todito show and Toma Todito boxing show.
God bless, guys. God bless. Stay safe out there.